So this week, Laura and I are going to be touching upon a topic that we have tangentially talked about in previous podcast episodes. Something that Laura and I really, truly do believe has helped shape the path for our career and our business now, is the power of your inner circle and the people that you spend the most time with. And so this week, we're going to ask the question and pose this to our audience: who is in your inner circle? Jim Rohn had famously said that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And from that, I mean, any person in personal growth is going to tell you that the people that you surround yourself with, that's going to impact your energy, your relationships, your connections, everything from the start of your day to the end of your day. And it's going to also impact the way that you show up. And so for Laura and I, we know this to be true for many different reasons. And I'll start by saying the biggest reason that we believe in this so much is because our inner circle for where we are now looks so different from where we were just 2.5, 3 years ago, and who we are choosing to have in our inner circle, as opposed to allowing to be in our inner circle, or like being forced to have in our inner circle. So, for example, I don't think that Laura and I, without having each other, without being able to lean on each other, would be able to move through the crazy transitions that we've been through just from starting the beginning of our firm in 2020. And even for Laura in 2019, we've still had each other to really rely upon. And we both have very similar values and goals and visions for what we want this firm to look like. And our energies typically tend to match as well. We're both really motivated, both very optimistic and very realistic. And that's important for us as partners, as business owners, as colleagues, as friends, to just be able to match each other and constantly push one another. And so I think that for Laura and I, with just on our surface level of our partnership alone, making sure that she and I are choosing the right people to bring into the business and into our lives to protect our energy, because we know where we're heading and we know what we want to continue to do, makes this topic super personal and super important to us. And I think that a lot of business owners, and anybody really, but business owners, should really take notice of the people that they're surrounding themselves with.
And especially as a business owner, you, to some extent, have control over, who you are letting in your inner circle. The reason Amy and I are so passionate about this topic is because we lived it. So, we were in a much different environment than we are in now. And the reason we are building the environment that we are in now is because of where we came from. And it wasn't even just where I was immediately prior to opening our own firm. I mean, before that, I was there for a very long time, for 11 years, but before that, I was in other working environments too. And there were aspects of the, typical law firm environment that I didn't want to carry forward. Now that I had a choice as to the environment that I was going to be building. So even when I went out on my own, you were still one of those people in my inner circle that I kept there for a reason, because it matters. It really matters. And when you say, it matters for a variety of reasons, one of those reasons is that it can suck the life out of you.
Oh my gosh,
Being
totally.
around people who are, constantly negative, or who don't, share your vision. And look, are you going to come into contact with people who you don't agree with, of course, it's life. Like, you're not only surrounded by 4 people every day.
Right.
But in terms of who you choose to spend the most time with and who you choose to surround yourself with, I think that makes a huge difference and can completely drain your energy, right?
Yeah. I love how you say that too, because there's two things at play here, right? One is we are dealt the circumstances that we are, right? Laura and I are in a particular different situation because we are the business owners. So when we onboard new team members, one of the things we can look for is, are we going to vibe with these people? Or at least initially, does it sound like we're actually going to all get along and we're going to be able to, work together? And that's a privilege that we have to make that choice, right? And we know that there are many of you that are listening that don't necessarily have that control and don't have that freedom of choice to be able to build your team the way that you want your team to look. So you might have certain circumstances that you need to work within, and you might not get along with everybody. And those are the circumstances that you are presently in. So there's a couple of choices that you have in front of you. Is one, you can choose to no longer be in those circumstances, and you can choose to make a change if that's, something that's super important to you, and you're noticing that you are in fact suffering from the people that you're spending the time around. So you can make that choice. And Laura and I both had to make that choice on different occasions during our career. And the second thing is that you can also choose to be a product of your choices, of the people that you try to spend the most time with. So let's say you're working at a really large firm, or you're working for the court system. You can find people within that setup, that office, or that system that you gravitate to, and you can just be more intentional and diligent about spending time with those people. Or when you need help with something, or you're wrangling over an issue, or you're struggling with something, those are specific people that you can rely upon. Just because you're put into a specific circumstance doesn't mean you have to be a product of that circumstance. And I actually just heard this phrase this morning, was be a product of your choices, not a product of your circumstances. And there's more choice in how you show up and how you interact with people and what people you keep really close to you than you're realizing. Because it's easier to say, oh, well, this is my team. So, if there's like really negative people within my team, I guess that's just what I'm going to have to be like, or I'm just going to have to deal with it. There's always choices that you can make, and there's questions that you could be asking yourself to maybe up level those people. And if you're not really thrilled with the people that you're working with in your team, or in your office or business or whatever, there's choices still that you can make to go find other people to elevate you, perhaps in a different situation, outside of work, outside of a community group that you belong to, whatever the case may be. There's always an opportunity to bring on people that lift you up.
That's what we did, right?
Mm-hmm.
What, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Beachbody.
I know exactly what it is.
As I'm sitting here listening to you, thinking, this is literally what we did when we were, and I didn't recognize at the time that was why it was happening. But looking back on it now, I can see clearly that came into our lives for a very specific reason.
Mm-hmm.
And is still with us today. And I still maintain relationships with the women that we, were in contact with then. But when we started working or coaching with a network marketing company, Beachbody, because we both love health and fitness, and we were working with other women on creating, routines for themselves to help manage like everything going on in their lives in terms, and working on nutrition and fitness. And we are part of a really big team.
Yeah.
And some of the women that we met through that are friends that I'll have for life. And they are positive, and they kind of gave us the external support that, at least for me, that I needed at that time because of the environment that we were in. And so my daily job was not a positive environment. And I had no plans at that point, because my kids were young, of leaving that. So I found something external to that to make up for the negativity that I dealt with on a daily basis. And it literally gave us life. Like I, that time and that coaching and, the team and the women, our trips to Summit, like all brought so much happiness and positivity to me. And so I can say this with 100% certainty because we did it. If you are in a negative environment, even if it's your job, you're not the boss, you're an employee, you have a specific role, and if you are in a situation that you are not leaving right now, there are other things you can do, other people you can try to surround yourself with to bring more positive energy into your life, right?
Yeah. And that's why and I hope that the audience, that you guys come back and listen to Laura and I, because we are that kind of an extension, because this is a way for us to kind of continue to pay it forward. Because like Laura said, we found this in other people when the situation that we were dealt that wasn't changing in the immediate future was one that you knew was not going to be the best for us, whether it be personally, professionally, for growth. And so we found it somewhere else. And unfortunately, there are people that will just say like, okay, well, I guess this is how my team's going to be. And then they're going to realize, like, maybe too late, that they have now assumed that average of those 5 people that they're closest to, and they're starting to be negative or lacking confidence or whatever the qualities and attributes are that you are a sponge and like soaking up. And so maybe this could be like a little bit of a reality check or a check-in, a tune-up, perhaps. It's a great time of year to do that. We keep pressing that issue. Like, see how you feel, evaluate what it's like to, whatever it might be, whether it's personally, whether it's professionally, whether it's, in your extracurricular or your community involvement. The people that you're spending the most time with are the people that are going to influence you the most. And so if you stop and recognize and just take a beat for a moment, say, how are these people influencing me? And is it positive? Or is it negative? And I'll take this out of the business context for one moment and just say personally, the look of what my friend group makeup nowadays is compared to where it was 10 years ago, it's night and
so
day.
Different, right?
Night and day. And I'm happy to report, though, that there are few key relationships that I'm going to keep with me for life, like Laura was saying. But there are other friendships and relationships that they were there for a season. And Dawn and I will always say this. We've said this to each other for years, our paralegal and also my sister. We say that you meet people for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And we're strong believers of that. And I truly do believe that there are people that you meet for a reason and for a season and for a lifetime. And you will continue to change. And the people around you should change with you. And that doesn't mean you have to drop everybody because you want to try and be a new person right now. That's not what we're suggesting. But what we're suggesting is be curious as to how you can elevate your position, how you can elevate your journey of growth or change or progress or whatever it is that you're working towards by becoming more aware of the people that you're spending the most time with. And if they are a roadblock for you, or if they're serving as a bridge to get to the next thing, then recognize that and then see how you can either fold other people in, find other mentors, find other inspirational or influential people that might be better for you and for your energy, because nobody wants to hang around an energy vampire that's just sucking your energy out of you and using it for something else.
Right. And so we are very particular about, anyone that we would even consider bringing on with our firm, because, we've had that experience and we know that energy matters and who you surround yourself with matters. So obviously Dawn fits right in. Like,
totally.
she's so positive. She's got such positive energy. She's such a hard worker. And so, when we were thinking about whether or not we were going to, take on a full-time paralegal, I mean, there really was no question that she would like jive with us, and that it would have we would have the environment that we were looking to build. But outside of Dawn, like, we are, super particular about who we would even consider. Doesn't mean that we don't like a lot of people. It's just, you have to, we need the right energy to build the environment that we're looking to build, because it is, I would say, the environment that we are looking to build in terms of a law firm is very outside the box. Would you agree?
I agree 100%. And it it's not to say that it wouldn't change. Like, if you make a choice and then oops, it's not the right fit, that you can't make a change there either. But it is to say that you are more intuitive than you think, or you have to give yourself the opportunity to be more intuitive, and like, not make as many rash decisions just because you need to expand the team or bring on more people, or those people might not be the right people for you. And if that means you grow slow as opposed to rushing to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, then that's something that, at least for Laura and I, we have found to be really important for us, that we want to make methodical, like deliberate decisions, I should say, about who to add in. And we want to be around positive people. There's nothing wrong with saying that too. Especially given the history that we've had of dealing with coworkers or, other people that just are so negative, and our profession can breed negativity, and it could breed being adversarial and contentious. And we want to be around people that are positive, and that also put that brand out for us, that we are positive and we're great to work with. And I think that's another thing that we have definitely hit the jackpot on with Dawn, is that she also is a reflection of that value that our firm has, because she is very positive. She is very diligent and hardworking. And we get that feedback a lot. And when we hear that, it's just another, reaffirmation of the choice that we've made for our team.
I can't even tell you. I mean, at least once a week, somebody will say to me, who is that answering your phone? Like, she is so nice, so positive, and so pleasant. And it's such a nice change to have somebody on the other end of the phone who is so friendly and willing to help. And I was like, well, that's why we love her, because she is. But you know what? This is not, side note, this is not to say that everybody is positive all the time, because Amy, was it yesterday? Or 2 days ago when we got on Teams, and I was like, oh God. And you were like, you've been starting a lot of conversations like that lately. Yes. Every time, like, oh my God, like, because it's just been a crazy week. And I think there's, like, I don't want it to come off like we're saying, like, oh, we're so happy and positive all the time, and everybody that works for us has to have that. Like, no, that's not right. That's not what we're saying. Not at all. Not at all. No. But in general, I think there's a difference between, you don't have to be positive all the time, but in general, you can have just positive energy and a positive outlook. Like, there are going to be days where you're not happy and things are going wrong. And, it's just, everybody has days like that. But for the most part, you can choose to surround yourself with, people that make you feel good and that give you positive energy. And it doesn't necessarily have to be at your job. Like I said, like, if you can't do it there, you can do something outside. It could be your personal life, your business life, whatever. But, take a good hard look at who you surround yourself with, who is in your inner circle, because it really makes a difference. And we think that if you do that evaluation, and you don't have to decide to cut everybody out of your life tomorrow, right?
Because some of them you can't cut out. Okay. Like, some family, like, they're there. You can limit interactions, but you can't cut people off. Not suggesting that.
Right. No, you can't cut everybody out of your life, but you can, to some extent, make decisions as to who you give your energy to, who you spend more
Mhm.
time with. And we think that it makes a difference. So we hope these tips are helpful for you. We thank you for spending time with us, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.